All right, welcome. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're taking a deep, deep dive, a really strange and philosophical journey right into the subconscious mind, as imagined in this incredible piece, Echoes from the Subconscious Underground. So, ready to begin the descent? Let's go!
So let me ask you something right off the bat. If you could actually listen to your subconscious, really tune into that constant chatter just below the surface, what do you think it would say? Would it be whispers, screams, or something totally different? Just keep that question tucked in the back of your mind as we head deeper.
So, picture this. We're on a guided tour, but it's not of a city or a museum. It's a journey into this metaphorical cave inside our own minds. And we're not just going to be talking about abstract ideas. No, we are actually going to meet the things that live down there, the strange entities, the hidden voices that you might hear echoing when everything else is quiet.
Okay, so as we start making our way down, the first things we're going to run into are kind of like gatekeepers. And you'll probably recognize them. They're basically formed from all the stuff we wrestle with every day, right? Our anxieties, our regrets, the sheer weight of our past. They're the voices that are probably the most familiar. And yeah, definitely the most persistent. So our very first encounter, we meet this thing called the skeleton. Now, it's not scary in a jump scare kind of way, not at all. But what it represents, well, that's something deeply and quietly unsettling. And listen to how it talks about itself. It says it's just a lost soul, wandering around in the depths of subconscious anxiety. You notice that? It's not fighting, it's not angry, it's just drifting. Man, that really nails a very specific kind of modern dread, doesn't it? That aimless feeling. So what the skeleton really embodies is that feeling of anxiety that doesn't really have a name or a face. You know that low humming background noise of existential dread? That's it. It's this idea that sure, maybe panic is a logical reaction to just existing. But more often than not, it's this deep, heavy tiredness, this ennui that really takes hold. All right, so we move past that kind of floaty, aimless dread, and we run into something else, something much, much heavier. A really imposing figure, the golem. And this thing isn't lost. Oh no, it's been put here. And what the golem says, it's a straight up accusation. It literally says it's the thing we bury deep in our minds, the thing we actively, consciously choose not to deal with. It's the absolute definition of the elephant in the room, but the room is your own head. This is such a brilliant way to show the baggage we all carry around, right? The golem is literally made of our unresolved issues, those unintended consequences from things we did ages ago. It's a monster of our own creation that we just refuse to look at. And it just stands there, this heavy, heavy reminder of a past that, and this is its own terrifying phrase, points toward an empty future. Ugh. Okay, let's go deeper. We've passed the guards of anxiety and regret. Now we're entering a part of the mind where the very idea of who we are, our sense of I, our self, just starts to fall apart. The questions from here on out, they get way more fundamental. And look, we meet another skeleton, but this one's got a whole different vibe. It's not worried about that vague anxiety. No, this one is laser focused on the very nature of what it means to be a self. And it asks this amazing question. Think about it. How can you be one single stable person if everything about you, your thoughts, your feelings, your body is constantly changing? This thing is basically saying our entire idea of a consistent self is just a story we tell ourselves. It's an illusion we create to protect ourselves from the terrifying truth that everything is always in flux, always heading towards chaos.
But wait, it gets even weirder. The next thing we meet is the scarecrow. And this creature looks like it's just pieced together from random parts. Even the way it talks is all broken and fragmented. So the scarecrow, it takes this whole breakdown of the self and pushes it even further. It basically asks if the word I even means anything. It says stones exist, but say they I? It's wondering if it's actually a real being or if it's just a collection of parts, a juxtaposition as it calls it, with no real me at the center of it all. So we're left with these two pretty chilling possibilities, right? You've got Skeleton 2 saying the self is a necessary lie we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night. And then you've got the scarecrow suggesting that maybe there's nothing there at all. Just a pile of random parts that we accidentally slapped the label I onto. And now we've reached the bottom, the deepest, darkest part of this whole journey. And down here, it's not just about who you are anymore.
Now, your entire perception of reality itself is on the chopping block.
There's this creature, the Hell Beast, and it throws down this major challenge. It basically argues that what you see, what you hear, what you touch, your senses, they are not giving you the truth. They're not a clean window to the world. Instead, they're painting a totally subjective picture, one that's colored by your brain chemistry, your fears, even just random chance. So that monster you see in the dark, it might just be a creation of your own mind.
And that idea leads us straight to our final and maybe most disturbing encounter yet, the alien. It takes what the Helby said and just blows it up, applying it to, well, everything, with one single, absolutely terrifying question.
See, the alien's whole theory is that delusion isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's not a sickness, it's a function. It suggests that if the cold, hard truth of reality was just too awful, too unbearable for us to handle, our minds would have no choice but to build a nicer reality for us to live in, a delusion we need just to get by. That wonderful life you think you have, it could just be a beautiful, necessary lie you're telling yourself to survive.
Whoa, okay, so after a journey that intense, what are we supposed to do with all that? Where do we even start? Let's try and pull together some of the key takeaways, the main echoes from our trip down into this subconscious underground. So, what have we figured out? Well, for starters, we have to face those guards at the gate, right? The skeleton's aimless anxiety and the golem's heavy, unresolved past. Then, we have to grapple with this idea of a fractured self, that our sense of I is maybe way more fragile than we think. That leads us to number 3, realizing our reality is subjective, something our own minds are building. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part of all, digging into these dark, uncomfortable ideas doesn't mean you're broken. It's actually a super profound, totally essential part of being human.
You know, at the end of the day, this journey wasn't about finding some nice, neat answers to tie everything up with a bow. Not at all. The whole point was to leave us with better questions, deeper, more challenging questions about who we are and the world we think we know.
So I'm going to leave you with that final question from the alien. Let this one rattle around in your head for a bit. If you had the choice, a comfortable, happy delusion, or a single glimpse of a terrible, unbearable truth, what would you pick? Even if it was just for a second. What would you choose? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.